Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to compliment you, John and John, and IISS on this remarkable conference, a conference that is standing for the growing need for partnership, obviously. And I'm very impressed by the outcome of the GCC summit as laid out by the Foreign Minister of Bahrain. What we see is the region working closer together in the economy, in infrastructure, and in defense. And this is the way we Europeans are going. It's more partnership we need, and especially we are strengthening our regional security architecture too. We have been modernizing NATO over the past 3 years, and right now we're taking important steps forward towards a European Defence Union because it's necessary. We have the topic combating extremism, and I want to go straight to the topic. We all face the same threats. We're facing terrorism and extremism that are global in their scope, but they are regional in their character, and they are very diverse in their root causes. Of course, terror has to be fought by military means. And that is why Germany is training Kurdish Peshmerga and delivering arms and ammunition to them, including anti-tank missiles and armored vehicles. That is why we're training Iraqi security forces. That is why German tornadoes are flying every day in Syria, Iraq, to deliver surveillance and reconnaissance. And we also provide air-to-air refueling. And that is why we recently started our participation in the NATO AVAX mission. We are also improving the resilience of countries such as Jordan and Tunisia by providing military equipment and training. And finally, this is why Germany is intensifying cooperation in all aspects of security with the countries of this region. All these activities are in the spirit of our military coalition against terror, in which more than 60 countries are involved. The coalition is successful, and it works, and it must continue even after the physical defeat of Daesh. Because extremism is a global phenomenon. Last year, we faced horrible attacks over Europe, and at the same time, we are also aware that the so-called foreign fighters embark from Europe to join the battle for Daesh. And of course we know that extremism has a military dimension and therefore has to be fought by military means. But what is more, it has also a social dimension and it has an ideological dimension. And I want to focus on those two. First of all, I want to focus on the ideological dimension. Daesh claims that to fight for Daesh is to defend Islam. And people without prospects are easily led to believe such false promises and such brutal lies. But even worse, these lies are poisoning our societies, yours as well as ours. Looking at the latest Western elections, we clearly see that populism is rising, and so is Islamophobia. I would even say that populism is stirring up Islamophobia. This is neither in your interest nor is it in our interest. So what must be done? We need you. We need leaders of Islamic countries. We need your authority and your leadership by example to demonstrate to the world that Islam stands for peace and tolerance. Together, we have to counter the extremists' false narrative. It is not about non-Muslim countries fighting Muslim nations, but it is about the whole world fighting terror. And at the same time, we're facing a social dimension. People who are socially isolated and politically excluded are easy prey for indoctrination. So it is about hope and about jobs. And this is true for your region as well as for ours. Jobs and resilience come with education. We must embrace broad and universal education as the key to a prosperous and better life. Therefore, we should complement the coalition against terror with a coalition for education. We must cherish religious tolerance at the hearts and at the minds of our societies, yours and ours. Our goal must be universal respect for human dignity, respect for freedom of speech, lifestyles, and religion, respect for the rule of law, and diversity of inspiring ideas and thoughts. And this leads me to my second point with regard to combating extremism. That's the role of cyberspace and of social media in particular. It is a well-known fact that more people in sub-Saharan Africa have a cell phone than access to clean water. In times of social media, the gulf between aspiration and reality, between what some want and what others have, is staggering and obvious to everyone. And this is one of the driving forces for great anger and growing aggression. In our globalized world, Raqqa, Mosul, and even small outposts of remote areas are only one mouse click away from Singapore, Paris, New York, and Manama. The day Mosul was overrun by Daesh in 2014, over 40,000 victory tweets were posted by Daesh. Google, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and many more platforms have been weaponized. Imagery and emotions have more power than facts. Extremists still exploit and abuse this. We cannot let that happen anymore. We must act. We must take up the fight in cyberspace and in the information domain. However, I am deeply convinced that we will only win this battle if we stick to the following principles. First, as simple as it sounds, always tell the truth. Only with truth and credibility can we dismantle the extremists' lies. Even if it is painful, in the long run, we will never succeed without transparency. We have to aim for information dominance based on truth. Second, the narrative is all the more convincing if it comes from a local source. As you know, as we always seek to involve local forces in our military fight, and we have been successful in Iraq in doing this, we should take the same approach to our strategic communication. The real story has to be told by authentic local sources in order to convince a global audience. A Yazidi woman describing torture and genocide is more convincing than any governmental study. And we have one decisive ally in this battle, and that is the free press and the freedom of opinion. Third, we need to find a balance between freedom and control in the cyber domain. The internet is the most valuable instrument for accessing education and information, and we cherish that. This is a huge opportunity. However, we cannot allow the web to be the key tool for spreading extremism all over the world. There is no freedom without limits, be it in the real world or in cyberspace. But to be very clear, I am not talking about policing the internet. There is no easy solution and there is no quick fix. Neither blanket censorship nor laissez-faire will solve the problem. Every nation has to face this question. But as cyberspace knows no national borders, we also have to find international solutions, international rules. And therefore, to sum it up, our traditional comprehensive approach, that is the combination of military, diplomatic, and civil means, has to be enhanced by two more dimensions, two more components, the social dimension and the cyber dimension. To win the war, we have to dominate the internet. But to win peace, we have to offer hope and prospects. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.